Here's what I do know. Bob Lardine was born in 1924 and died in 2019 after a long career in journalism. And 95 years old is a pretty good run. His niece and nephew, going through his estate, found a box of tapes. Noticing some of the names being rather famous, they sent this box to the Internet Archive as a donation, and then spent a few years asking when the archive was going to digitize them. And the answer was when the Internet Archive had a cassette tape to archive item pipeline. Well, I built that pipeline, and I've been digitizing Bob Lardine's tapes. They are fantastic. Oh, poorly recorded. Let's be clear about that. They are not good-sounding tapes. But you can make out what people are saying. And the people who are saying things, the things they are saying, and the ultimate body of work and insight into Hollywood industry is priceless. I'm delighted to be the person who's helping bring them online, and I have some thoughts about what I'm learning along the way. This is Jason Scott Talks His Way Out of It, a podcast about technology, history, and getting myself out of debt. Thanks to Jeff Atwood and the hundreds of other supporters on Patreon and elsewhere who have been supporting me and helping me get out of debt. The tapes were of all sorts of qualities, some of them with faded labels, others with labels written over multiple times, and all shoved together in a few boxes that themselves were inside a larger cardboard box. So I started digitizing them. I have a really nice setup, thanks to people helping me over the years, and my Tascam Mark III was ready for the job. I've been doing a bunch of tapes, mostly bootlegs of concert recordings, but I turned to this set and quickly found out that they were really badly recorded. If you listen to an actual interview, it sounds like they're in a restaurant or a room full of other people, because they were. What Bob Lardine did over the years was work as a reporter for the New York Daily News, and somewhere in the 1960s, he starts interviewing celebrities. By the 1970s, he's interviewing a lot of celebrities and creating interviews for the New York Daily News Sunday edition, and he does it all the way through the 80s, and his methods stay the same. He puts a cassette in a tape machine, puts the tape machine between him and the celebrity, either goes to a restaurant or the commissary or a trailer or the set, and talks to them for anywhere between a few minutes and a couple hours. And they're very conversational, discussing what's going on in their life, what they hope to do with their lives, what projects they've just finished, or what they're going to work on. And Bob asks the questions in the smoothest, most easy conversation way, while also guiding the subjects being talked about so that an article can be written about them. Just that aspect, just watching a professional, just listening to a professional do his job. As somebody who did many interviews for my documentaries, it's really nice to see what a person does when they're in the same room as Eric Estrada or William Holden or Gavin MacLeod or Conrad Bain. You learn what these celebrities think their careers have been, and in the case of the younger ones, what they're going to be. So far, I've got interviews from people as young as 16, just starting out their careers, all the way through to folks in their 60s and 70s, reflecting on where they are now. Some of them are producers, some are directors, but many of them are actors, mostly television and a few film. It is very hard initially to figure out who's talking based on the labels. If I'm lucky, I get a last name. But Sometimes Bob would use the same tape for multiple interviews over time. So I have a main interview, and then the tape clicks for a moment, and I'm in a different interview. A real shame for history, but what are you going to do? Tapes were expensive in 1975, I guess. So Bob is interviewing person after person for usually an hour, flipping the tape over halfway through the conversation and covering whatever is on the celebrity's mind. You can hear a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different priorities, and frankly, it is an insight that many of us probably thought we would never get. Taking away whether or not celebrities are worth talking to at all, having these recordings of people in the middle of their workday talking about where their career has been and where they think they're going, only for me or you to be able to look up online where that celebrity's career went afterwards, that's interesting. There's a part of me that feels a little bad about how good we are at knowing everything about every mass media, film and television production and everybody who worked on it to the depth that we have. Based on production schedules and IMDb pages, you can know an awful lot about where a celebrity was and what they were doing for a large part of their working life. You'll know that they were in Hawaii for 2 months to shoot a movie, then find out they got married a week or two later after getting back. You'll know when they were divorced, when they had their children. Who's Who is something that's been around for a long time. The ability to know details about folks who have been deemed worth knowing or worth knowing about. But it's another thing entirely to hear a person before those things have happened. Eric Estrada is 29 when his interview is recorded. Henry Winkler is in his 20s. Glynis O'Connor has just turned 20 and can't believe that she's been working for years in Hollywood and that she's no longer a teenager. They make declarations. They talk about their dreams and what drives them, and then I get to find out what exactly happened. You would think that 1 hour was not enough for an interview, but I can tell you, you can get a lot out of a person in about 60 minutes. Certainly what they're working on and what they're thinking about, and if you direct things after a while, when people have gotten comfortable, you can actually get some pretty good insights about their philosophy and what drives them and what matters. Whether it's family, career, or finding out what the next big phase, the next big dream is. Not every story is happy. Some of the interviewees died a few years after this interview was recorded, some of them rather young when it happened. There's no rhyme or reason either. Sometimes people have trouble. Sometimes people have unexpected health problems. Others live for a very long time. Capturing a moment on tape that otherwise would have been thrown away, given by a family to sit for a couple years at the archive, and then to be digitized by some weirdo, that's a whole bunch of near misses and lucky breaks for people to be able to hear what comes out. I have them transcribed, and I create summaries of what's being discussed. And it's incredible to me how many different ideas people were having on set, thinking about what they're going to do about their diets, what they're going to do about their career. It's incredibly interesting to me to hear a person talking in a voice that isn't their official voice. Many of these actors have a presence on stage that they turn on, that they put the mask on for. And you can't really talk conversationally with a reporter in your dressing room and keep that mask on for very long. There's a little bit of humanity sneaking in every sentence beyond what these celebrities are talking about. And all of this is a huge basket of interesting. Not world-changing, not a matter of us not having these and being lesser as a species, but interesting. And I'll take interesting. I'll take the ability to pop a cassette that is many, many years old, 50 or 60 years old in some cases, and be able to pull out of it a wavery, a little blurry, a little fuzzy voice from the distant past, full of hope and wishes and being able to find out where destiny started laughing. What other magnetic treasures are out there? I hope we find out soon. This is Jason Scott Talks His Way Out of It. Thanks to James Bekoyanu, Ernie Hershey, Michael Rubin, David Fisher, Sean Kelly, Dilip Reddy, Trixie the Cat, Joey Mink, Martin, Symbionce, Benjamin Guts, and Anonymous, along with the hundreds of other supporters on Patreon and elsewhere who have been supporting me and helping me get out of debt. The Bob Lardine collection is at archive.org/details/Bob Lardine tapes, and it has headshots that I found from the vintage of the interviews, many of them very weird in terms of color scheme and costumes, accompanying transcribed and summarized interviews. For the people who are into this sort of thing, it's pretty interesting. But you can be forgiven if I just described a precious collection of fluff.